Did you see Tabitha Ricci?
I did. She looked
Dude,
really
she
good.
looked amazing, right?
Yeah.
Wow, I was thoroughly impressed with her performance.
Yeah, Jessica Panay might be quite a little bit past her prime. You know, she was
Washed.
just a bit washed.
Washed.
Some people might remember her from such bouts as Joanna Jędrzejczyk's Victims in one of her in her title reign. So she's been around for a bit, but still, Tabitha Ricci did look very impressive. I think that was the first fight that I watched of the night, and she
Ian
just
Gary
had her way with her.
Ian Gary's a real problem, dude. That guy's very good.
Another hot prospect out of Ireland. He's from Ireland, right? Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Ian Machado Gary. Now, someone was telling me, but I didn't see it. Does he speak Brazilian? Because his wife is Brazilian, right? That's how he got his nickname, Machado.
He's got that
that Darren Till thing.
That Darren Till deal. Yeah. I don't know if he was brutally stabbed in his own hometown and had to flee to Brazil. Imagine going to Brazil to be safe.
Seems a little.
Yeah, but no, man, he looked great. And then at the very end, he turned it on. I think he looked at the clock and he was like, "Oh," and he goes, "Okay," and he just beat the shit. Like that was, and the guy he was fighting, the Chinese fighter, was amazing. So, or was good himself. So he got clipped. Ian Gary got clipped pretty good. Looked good. So,
and he climbs to 11-0 with his third round finish of Keenan Song. So, yeah, one to look out for in that welterweight division is Ian Machado Gary, the Irishman. Well, let's start at the top of the card. Let's go where I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts. I have thoughts. UFC 285 is behind us, and it is NU times 2 as Jon Jones in his heavyweight debut just puts I don't even know how to describe it. He just melts Cyril Gane. It wasn't really much of a fight there. I gotta say, I was incredibly disappointed, not because I picked wrong. I picked very wrong with Cyril Gane, but I was just more disappointed that we just honestly didn't even get a fight. And that's not John's fault. I mean, that is Cyril's fault for sure. He didn't put up any resistance.
That's his coach's fault. His coach is shitty. People just need to realize, like, your coach is shitty.
Yeah,
get away from him. Get away from that coach.
If you intend to improve,
look what happened to Francis. Francis did. How'd it go for him? Pretty good.
Yeah, if Cyril Gane intends to improve in any meaningful way in the wrestling department, he's going to have to look elsewhere, because I don't think that they're going to get it done in one training camp and put him in a position that he needs to be able to combat that offensive wrestling prowess of Jon Jones. But man, tell me what you thought about John's return. How did he look? It's not a whole lot to go off of, but
I picked him to go 4-1 to win 4 rounds to 1. I did think, and I think we touched on it, so we won't spend too much time, but I did think there was a chance he could do something similar to that. I thought it could be more of a ground and pound, like multiple strikes, where Cyril is just not fighting back type of deal. I didn't see a submission. So props to guys like Drake. That's how badass Jon Jones is. He got his haircut on embedded, and Drake bet on him to win by submission, and he fucking bucked. But like, curses don't even fucking matter, dude.
Yeah. Even Chael Sonnen put his curse on him knowingly.
And Chael Sonnen said he's injured or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. And then so when he walked in and they're like pointing to his toe, and he's like, "What?" And they're like, what's going on? And then I was like, "No, dude, no." And they're like pointing at his toe, and I was like, "No, dude, what is?" And then it, like, the camera panned away and then it panned back, but that's the toe he hurt Chael Sonnen in.
Yeah.
With. So, and then I looked at him and he goes, "Oh, it's okay." And then I didn't know. We both talked like who was training him, and we know he spent time with Cejudo. But when I saw Greg Jackson, my body got all warm, like my chest got all warm when I saw Greg Jackson hugging him.
Yeah.
And then Brandon Gibson hugged him, and then he's like, "Okay, guys, let's get in there." I was all, "Oh, look at this, dude."
I had no idea Greg Jackson was going to be in the building in his corner.
And when I saw him, dude, I was like, Cyril's gonna die. Like, Cyril's gonna die in there, dude.
Yeah.
And who was saying it? And then they were showing too, like on the lead up, like as I was like on my phone, and then Habib's dad was talking. Have you seen like the video of Habib's dad talking about how Jon Jones is just the greatest fighter that's ever lived?
I'm
Like
pretty sure I've seen it. Yeah.
that it does. And this is when he was like, I think it was around the time he was fighting Gus again, I think, and he was just like, if he went to heavyweight now, he would wash every good fighter in heavyweight history. There's no one that can compete with him. He may have problems outside the law or whatever. It was just like, dang, dude. And then I saw Greg Jackson, absolutely amazing. But yeah, I thought he was going to win 4 rounds to 1 decision. Pretty much just completely style on Cyril and just keep him wet and let him kind of get to a comfort zone and then just continue to take him down. I thought he'd continue just to take him down. I didn't think Cyril was going to be that much of a bitch, to where you just take how do you just take a guy's head, dude? That's your head, dude. Just move.
Complete
like,
complete fish out of water. Like he didn't even realize that he could be subbed in that position. He was just
that's very arrogant. Mm-hmm. That's extremely arrogant to think like I can just leave my head and neck up and this guy won't do shit about it. No.
Even in the area where Cyril Gane was supposed to have the best chance, as short as the fight was, and it didn't play out for very long on the stand-up. But, well, first I'll say, walking out and entering the cage, Cyril Gane looked nervous. He didn't look comfortable.
Yes, his eyes were huge.
Mm-hmm. And in the stand-up, I feel like that also kind of manifested itself because I would say like some of the punches he was throwing were wild. It didn't really seem like he was picking his shots really well. Nuts. The first kick he threw.
That's nerves. That's nervy because he's very accurate with his kicks, especially his front kicks. He's very accurate with those.
And
you can tell that's nerves.
Absolutely. And those legs of Jon Jones, like that's not easy to miss either. Like they're big targets. Right. So
yeah.
We got.
Go ahead, dude.
Well, I was just gonna say. So we got Giga Jon Jones. He's back.
Yeah.
I wish we had more to analyze. I wish we would have. I wish it would have turned out like your prediction, where 4-1. That way we could have had a better idea of his cardio and his stamina and how that's looking at heavyweight. But he's got a match ahead of him. Not to just write off Cyril Gane, but what could we say about Cyril Gane?
He's done. He's done because how are you going to take on the Moldovan boys? Those guys are there.
Right.
How are you going to take those? That's where you're going to be now.
Yeah.
We got Romanov's fighting this weekend. Like, watch, dude, because he's close to where you guys just fought in the same time frame.
Yes.
You're going to be fighting Alexander Romanov in a fight night.
Yeah.
So good luck, dude. Good luck.
Cyril. He doesn't want to run into a Romanov. He doesn't want to run into a Spivak. Certainly not a Curtis Blades.
And they won't. I don't think they will. But you and I, for all the shit we're talking now, I think it's fair because you and I were like, this guy could transform. We said it on this podcast. This guy can transform what we think heavyweight MMA is. No, he won't.
No,
he won't. Absolutely not.
It's not looking like it.
He never will. And this was not even that big of a. I would have thought going up against but we mentioned it. He was going up against fat, plotting strikers and just looking great, just dancing and moving. And so you got a guy, and then everyone was making fun of Jon for his physique and whatever it was. And Jon, to his credit, man, he was like laughing back. He's like, yeah, I know. I actually wanted to go in a little bit heavier, but things got out of control. I was 267. I had to cut down to this. And I was just like, dang. I think I want to take a step back though and just say like the whole week lead up, and it goes to kind of what I said is he's a psycho. He knows the cameras are on him. He knows what to say, what to do. He's been in this spotlight for so long. His brothers have been in are professional athletes who go through PR training. So he's probably just sucked all that up. He just was absolutely perfect. Just so humble, so introspective. He kind of just was. He was pretty much an open book as far as like, what do you guys want me to say? You guys have read everything. You've seen everything. There's nothing I can expand on. It's bad, but I'm here. Like, what do you want me to say? And I think that was the one thing that was. What he did to Cyril wasn't as impressive as the way he carried himself throughout the week, because you can just tell how comfortable he was.
Interesting take. Yeah, I couldn't help but notice that. I don't know if it was maybe some Cejudo influence or what, but he was also just acting very different on fight night. When he
Yeah,
was walking out, what was he saying? He was like, "Oh yeah." He just kept
yeah,
repeating. So I forget what he was repeating, but he kept
yeah.
saying it over and over, and it was starting to give me. It was starting to remind me
Cringe
of.
vibes.
It was starting to remind me of Diego.
Oh
Because
yes,
yes, yes,
yes.
and I'm like,
Yeah,
what is going on here? And just like he was much more animated than I'd ever seen him, certainly in any of his walkouts. So
yeah.
that started to worry me a little bit now, because I started to think,
It
because
was worrying you. I felt good because
well,
and sorry to cut you off.
no, it's okay,
Go ahead.
worrying me for Cyril, because I was thinking
Oh, I
like, okay,
see.
which version of John are we going to get here? And I saw something that we'd never seen before, so that just means chaos, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
go on.
Well, what I felt, I just got like, because if I would have started, because it wasn't, I'm kind of maybe not accurately depicting it for people who haven't seen it or maybe just saw the fight. Because we followed John every fight he's had. So they were talking about 15 title fights. I was watching him way before that,
Yeah.
and just I've watched his interviews. I've seen him on multiple live TV podcasts, whatever have you, and it. I've seen him in so many different lights, and then seen the end result. It was always a win, but the type of win and how things went. And I think his most recent run at heavyweight, he was just very like defensive. He was at odds. He was like kind of. It seemed like he was fighting with somebody. Like he was at odds with his gym. He was at odds with Dana. He was at odds with interviewers. He was at odds with his family. He was at
Hmm.
odds with the state of Albuquerque. Like it was just like he was always fighting someone.
Right.
And I think in this case, he was just like, dude, I'm just fighting Cyril Gahn, and this is that's all I'm doing. Like it's easy. This shit's easy money for me. Imagine like fighting the number. I mean, probably before John got into the cage and fought the best heavyweight MMA fighter on the planet, because Francis just isn't. He's not signed up anymore. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not going to fight.
We
So
can't even talk pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, you can't even say anything, which is his own fault. But for him to just be like, I just have to fight this guy.
Mm.
I don't have to deal with any. I mean, his wife was there. If that was a photo op or whatever it was, she was there with him. His fucking trainer, Greg Jackson, Winkle, the like everyone knows how like and that was a huge deal when he was going through light heavyweight, was that his camp was just a complete joke. Like it was just trash. It went from the greatest camp to just complete trash. Anyone can go in there and fight.
Hmm.
Greg Jackson wasn't even there. Mike Winklejohn was just like tearing that shit apart. Gibson went and started his own place. Cowboy Cerrone went and did his own thing, and he was like the guy there, and so you could tell that was probably weighing on his heart.
Hmm.
This time he's just like, nah, dude, I'm just gonna go out and fight this guy. That's easy money. That's easy. That's what I get. That's what I do.
Possibly benefited from a more streamlined, kind of simplified life. Did John in
Yeah,
this fight? You know, like, you mentioned his wife or his fiance. I'm not sure what she is to him, was there. And I mean, you could kind of figure if you just kind of take away a lot of those waves that are rocking the boat. You know, he signs an 8-fight deal with the UFC, gets paid, whatever he's satisfied with. I don't know what those numbers are. We'll speculate that he has some kind of a agreement with his wife in place. I don't want to speculate too much on that,
yeah.
because
That's none of anybody's
it's
business.
none of
Yeah,
anybody's business. But
yeah,
when you consider some of the personal things that he'd been going through, and the domestic violence case and all that stuff, to know, or if John feels like he's truly getting a second chance, and a lot of people will say, well, he's had plenty of chances. Yeah, but that's an MMA.
yeah. Who
A
gives
lot
a
of
fuck?
people are going to get a lot of chances in MMA and UFC. You know, you don't need to be an absolute Boy
That,
Scout to get a lot of chances from
that's what
Dana.
I always find so funny about American culture is like, oh, it's not good enough that you just fight in a cage and go to try to strangle the other person. You have to be 100% everything that we want you to be, and if you're
Hmm.
not, then you're a piece of shit, dude. And like so many, how weird is that? Because like you walk into the bank and like the bank manager's there, and he's good, he gives you great service, he's always been awesome. Do you give a fuck? Do you really give a fuck what is that anybody else's business? You know what I mean? The bank seems to think he's okay to be there to wear a suit and help you.
Hmm.
do you want to know what he does in his off time? Do you care as long as he makes your deposit the right way and fucking make sure your debit card works? No, who cares? Why does the fucking cage fighter have to fucking, and I understand like there's scrutiny because of just the way culture is nowadays or whatever it is, but it's like this relationship that we have, like almost like what is that called? Where like like the comedians and like podcasters and YouTubers talk about it, like that what is it that like
Parasocial kind
parasocial relationship. Like
where
why is John
the commenters on social media think that they are a part of your life. Yeah.
And guess what? You're not. Jon Jones doesn't give a fuck. But he acts like he does because he knows it's beneficial to the company he works for, the sponsors that he's beholden to, and probably his pro officers. That's pretty much the only reason why he even like entertains it. You know what I mean? Because like, what do you think? What do you think? Fucking like guys like Rampage were doing in Pride, or what do you think? How do you think Alistair Overeem conducted himself? How do you think like all the fighters in Pride were? What do you think those guys were doing? Do you really think Chuck Liddell was just fucking walking blind people across the street like every day? No, they weren't. It's just
well, I think it lends itself to like what you mentioned, the parasocial dynamic or something like that, where it's just the very vocal like part of the fanship, like online, on Instagram, on Twitter, who are going to talk. And I think that just people just can't help but have an emotional response when they see opinions that differ from their own. Because if anybody was to say like, no, I don't respect Jon Jones because A, B, and C, okay, sure, you have every reason to not respect Jon Jones. I'll go on the record and say, as a person, I'm never going to respect Jon Jones. As a fighter, it's a whole nother situation. But you see somebody go online and say these grand sweeping statements or say something so authoritatively like, you have to respect the GOAT now. And it's like, okay, for the person who is getting like real bound up about that or wound up about it, you don't have to take that person, that Twitter commenter's word as gospel, or you don't have to get all but we talk about second chances with Jon Jones, and if he really does eighth, ninth, but if this really feels like this is his second chance, and he just has to, if the right people are in his ear and telling him, hey, you just have to fly the straight and narrow, don't fucking end up in handcuffs, get into the cage, make your money, fight, you'll get your family back, or whatever the situation. Then
I'm telling you guys right now, as a longtime fan of it, it's not over.
Yeah,
it's fucking Tuesday, boys. I should probably be out on Thursday, guys. Like we got till April.
True.
Really. Like think about it. We got to get through April, guys.
Yeah, but
because this shit's just fun right now.
That's a level of motivation that I think could make for a very scary Jon Jones. And to kind of segue a little bit into his next matchup, I don't think that Stipe Miocic has anything for him, man.
Nope, none.
I have to ask you, like, dude, what fight would you prefer to see in place? Because I know on paper, Stipe, he checks a lot of the boxes in terms of rounding out Jon's legacy. Like if Jon, in a lot of people's opinions, Stipe became the greatest heavyweight because he managed to get that third title defense in the UFC. And I don't know if we talked about this in our chat. I don't mean to shit on that, but I feel like that is more of an indictment on how bad heavyweight has always been, and not as much about like, oh, like Stipe is so great because he got three defenses. But like somebody was going to get three defenses. Okay, I don't want to just write off Stipe, but the truth is he's been a part-timer. He's been a part-timer for about 2 years now.
With that trash talk at the end, he's like, what do you I would take time off if I was you. Like it was just like, God damn. And Stipe was like, so, and that's like, I think you talked about like, what is it gonna take to get Stipe out, like to get him, and that's what it took, like Jon Jones winning, because I think the point's been to this point, by the time this podcast comes out, this point's been like ran through the ringer, but Stipe wasn't going to come back to fight Sergey Spivak.
No.
He wasn't going to come back to fight Aspinall once Aspinall had a couple of fights under his belt back from the Curtis Blades after beating, if he even gets a chance, or Pavlovic, who he wasn't coming back for either of those guys. So what was Stipe? Was going to get Stipe out. and this is I get he has absolutely you're right. He has absolutely nothing besides maybe a better takedown defense, but Jon is going to have him um reacting to things that he Jon is going to play him like a puppet,
Yeah.
like from the mental and setup and strategic standpoint. Because Stipe's pretty good strategically as far as just kind of like putting out the appearance of fully functional heavyweight with that size frame experience, and
Yeah.
he's going to look the part. But Jon is going to play him like a fucking marionette puppet
Yeah.
with his hand up his ass and make him do whatever he wants in that cage.
Yeah, Stipe, I think is a better like transitional fighter for that people give him credit for as a heavyweight,
Mm-hmm.
and in that like he can switch. You know, he's very well rounded in that regard. But yeah, he's been fighting at heavyweight his entire career, and Jon is going to throw things at him that he's never seen from another heavyweight. And they're going to come from, you know, he's going to break the timing. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could
And
do
there's so much tape on Stipe where John's gonna have. I guess we watched Cejudo was explaining like that exact breakdown sequence, the takedown sequence. Like keep your hips low,
Mhm.
don't ride up over this part of his body. He's gonna leave his head out if you do that. It happened exactly. So he's going to be like working with Henry Cejudo. He's going to be working with Greg Jackson. I know from this whole thing that the guy who, in this whole lead up to I was listening to the TriStar podcast with Faraz Sahabi, and Faraz is like, I want to train with him. I want to like talk to him. I want to explain. I'm watching things that I can help him with. If he can get like Faraz Sahabi to get in there and like help him with like just like bouncing ideas off him, like what the fuck? They said, I guess Faraz said that like he and GSP had been like at odds because GSP kind of started taking time away from Greg Jackson's,
Mhm.
and so they were just kind of like, but at Jon Jones or at GSP's or I guess that was the faithful night where everything went down was GSP's or it was Jon and GSP's Hall of Fame induction, right? Because it was Gus and Jon for like fight, like in the fight wing,
Oh,
and then
that's right.
GSP was, and then that night after. But I guess Jon had saw GSP and Frost there that night, and they're like, "Dude, we should train or get together." And I guess all like everything was washed away. He's like, "Yep, oh sorry," it's like, "Yeah, I'll totally well, you got my number. I have your number. Let's get together. I'm
Mhm.
going up to heavyweight. It's gonna be great, dude. Who? There's no one on the planet. He is gonna beat him.
Yeah, I'm looking at heavyweight right now, and you know there are guys who excel in certain areas, and you know like there's certain guys who I trust to not get ran over like Cyril did, but there's nobody who I'm picking to.
Pavlovic, the Moldovan boys would give him a real hard time just because John's never really fought anybody who can do the Greco-Roman shit that they do. Because John fancies himself, or people fancy him like amazing Greco-Roman fighter. Well, these guys like they fucking were out the womb doing that.
Mm,
And I think Pavlovich with his power and striking, he has a great chin, and he's gonna have more than just serviceable wrestling. He's not gonna out like he's a Sambo champion, So I think I said it once, I say it again. He's gonna be the champ by the end of the year, but I'm
I
really scared now.
uh
I'm not as I still think it's going to happen, but
that will lead me to my next question. I mentioned the new 8 fight contract, and now I mean I'm assuming he has one out of the way, so he's got 7 fights left. How far into that 8 fight deal do you think Jon is going to take a bite? Like, do you? I mean, I don't. I'm going to go ahead and say I
he's
really don't think he's
35.
going to.
He's 35. I
Which
think
means
he'll
he's
go
just
into his
entering
40s.
his just entering his prime for a heavyweight
Yeah,
at 35.
and
Um,
at heavyweight too, he's not going to be cutting weight. Um, he's not going to be killing himself in camps to make weight. It's not going to be like like we've talked about Patty the Batty, where it's more of a fat camp.
mhm.
Where Jon could withstand that. He has so much fucking experience. He's such a good student that he doesn't need the training to kind of tweak him into um round him into his into whatever strategy he's trying to employ. Like he can just focus on losing weight if he has to. He doesn't have to do that. He can like functionally train now.
A lot of people seem to think that a name like Curtis Blades or Sergey Pavlovich, that those guys, although they're good, they're outstanding heavyweights, that they don't do enough promotional heavy lifting to get Jon out of bed and to do a full fight camp to face those guys. Is there any concern that the UFC isn't going to have enough marquee names at heavyweight to kind of keep Jon satiated?
No.
Or okay,
No,
so
I don't think so. I think John's going up against something a lot different than what he really like. There's so many haters. There's so many haters. You've got like Adesanya. You've got that whole camp of people. You got like Brad Riddell today was throwing shots at him. It's just like
me.
It's just yeah, all these. But it's just like a whole substack of haters to where, and I think. I get what you're. I think it's a very good point. It's not falling on deaf ears, like getting him out of bed, but I think it's going to be something to where he's not going. He's not. It's not going. He's just going to dismantle these people and leave no. Because that's the thing. For all the faults that he's gone against, or he's had against him, those strikes against him, I think if for anything, he realizes that he has to do it cleaner than the next person to continue to be that. But look at all the goodwill he's had in just the one win. Like no, he made Francis Ngannou look silly. Like Francis Ngannou looks like a joke right now. He could have had pretty much the same amount of money Jon had. Jon would have took the fight. The whole like, oh, good job, blah, blah, blah. You're an idiot, dude. You're dumb. You look so stupid right now, dude. It's really sad.
This really was the worst scenario for Francis Ngannou. Like, if you're Francis, you had to have been rooting for Cyril Gane there to kind of like make a statement that like, oh, the guy who I last beat is now their top guy. But yeah, he's out of the picture. And I mean, yeah, we can say he looks dumb or whatever, you know, and in the eyes of a lot of fans, because there is a big influx of fans who you can tell came out of the woodwork for Jon, who've probably been a little bit dormant. But he's got, Jon is demanding a lot of eyes on the sport right now.
Which is good. It's good for us, dude. I mean, whatever. Conor and Jon Jones over the next 3 years is going to be good for everybody.
Good
like,
for business.
Conor in a Jake Gyllenhaal movie, Jon Jones fucking beating the shit out of everybody. It's really good.
So I don't know if they had dropped this soundbite before we recorded on the last episode. I don't think they did, but Dana came out and you know, they in the media they asked him about the Francis Ngannou situation, right? You know, before the Jones fight, and he came out and said the N-word. He came out and said the N-word. He said never. Yeah. he said he never says never, but he'll give you a never on this one. He says Francis Ngannou's done. He'll never be back in the UFC. Yeah. I mean, if Dana gets his way, I believe him. I take his word that Dana will do everything in his power to never let him come back.
He's petty as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Ben Askren. Look at what happened to Ben Askren. Like, you're not. If he doesn't want you in, you're just not going to get in.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how much money they would have to, or if they could ever come to a deal with Francis, or if Francis will allow that. I hope that they can, though. And I know that this Stipe Miocic fight, nothing's going to change outside, barring injury or something. Nothing's going to change the trajectory that they're on right now. Aiming for International Fight Week for a fight between Jon and Stipe. But man, I would still love to see that Ngannou fight. I would still love to, just because
everybody would, and it's Francis's fault. It's Francis's fault, dude. I mean, I've heard the take of, okay, you swing for the fences, but get a double, dude. Just, okay, $8 million and you're fighting Jon Jones. You wash Jon Jones out on pay-per-view in front of everybody. Then you go back to the table and you say, okay, now let's talk about some of those other things I wanted, guys. You don't say, I want every last thing that I'm asking for, or I walk. Because guess what, dude? There's the fucking Derek Lewis fight right there, dude. There's always that. Jon, for all the terrible things that Jon's done, he's never had a fucking Derek Lewis fight. You know what I'm saying? Like he's never had that. There's that shit. I think that really, as crazy as I might sound by saying that, I really think that really hurt his negotiating, like where he came from, because they're like, dude, what
Francis.
was that?
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
Francis.
yeah.
Like,
I think most people had already, not to just be like full on contrarian. I would assume most people have either already forgot about that fight or didn't even see it.
do the people that pay him millions of dollars forget though? I know you and I have. I don't. I mean, I obviously do think about it, but like, there's always that. Okay, we're gonna give you healthcare, this and that, and then you're gonna stand and bounce like someone, like you're playing the game and you forgot the controller, like you're just standing there and not doing anything.
Yeah. No, ultimately, I think him playing hardball and walking hurt him more than anything, because I think they know that his ceiling is still so great, so high in terms of what he can deliver as far as entertainment in the cage and what he represents in that area with the kind of just God-given power that he possesses.
Right.
So I think what it was tough for him is demanding the kind of money he was demanding, and the not even the money, but the things he was demanding, representation for the entire roster and stuff, which is great. Hey man, I'll tip my hat to you for wanting that, but I could have told you that that's never going to happen. You didn't need to pay like a fucking, your manager to fight for that. But I think the toughest part, or the biggest ask, was the amount of money he was asking for when he hadn't cleaned out his division and he had only defended his title once. And knowing also that we have a GOAT, a guy who, in Jon Jones, who is also potentially going to be coming into the division soon. I mean, I'm talking about when it wasn't, there wasn't a set date on it,
Yeah.
So yeah, one title defense deep and asking for the world was always going to be a tough sell for Francis Ngannou.
It's silly. And then the posturing that he's doing now, where it's like he's like kind of like patronizing Jon Jones. Like, nah, dude, this guy has he's going to have as many title defenses as you're ever going to have. Like, your shit's done, dude. Like, you're not going to do it in one. You're going to lose to Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. You're going to lose to Anthony Joshua.
What is that beep? What is that? I'm hearing like, it almost sounds like a little toy drum, like a dit.
Yeah, no, it's this like clicking on my computer does that every now and then. Yeah.
Okay, I could ignore. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
I could ignore it then. All right. Well, you know who else swang for the fences? Alexa Grasso, but she didn't get a double.
Please, let's get into
she
this.
knocked
This
it out of the
exciting.
park, man. Alexa Grasso shows up in a big way, gets a 4th round rear naked choke submission of the champion, the 7-time defending, the reigning undisputed Valentina Shevchenko, and she becomes the first Mexican-born female to be a UFC champion at 125 pounds. Alexa Grasso is making us all eat crow today, man, because few people, if any, were picking Alexa Grasso in this fight, and I can't blame them for not. Just
we were rooting for her though.
Oh, absolutely.
I think both of us were. I wanted her to win. I was so excited that she won the way she did, and I don't want to derail. I want to let you go. My plan was to kind of let you go off. So like, please, King. Let's go off, please, King.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, as far as undermining her. Okay, to touch on what you said about rooting for her. I wasn't even a full-on rooting for her, but not because I don't like Alexa Grasso, but more because I was totally on the Erin Blanchfield train. And I think I overlooked Alexa Grasso as much as Valentina Shevchenko must have overlooked her, with Erin Blanchfield making the splash that she was making at Flyweight. So I was looking forward, thinking like, okay, I kind of wanted Blanchfield to be the one to do it. So I didn't consider enough about what Alexa Grasso can do, but I think all the credit goes to her coaches. I'd been seeing some
No one's giving enough credit to her coaches.
Her coaches, her corner did a fantastic job in building a game plan for Valentina. And I mean, I went back and checked my verdict card, my scorecard, and I had Valentina up 2-1 going into that 4th round, but Grasso's game plan was working well enough to not get her destroyed in this fight, so that she wasn't just going to get walked through. And she matched Valentina in a lot of the ways that I wasn't expecting her to also, and that was just in raw physicality too, and in the grappling, because my totally legal and paid for stream went down when Valentina had taken Alexa Grasso down and was working to get her in the crucifix position, and I'm over here thinking like, fuck, there it is, because I thought that Alexa Grasso could probably come up with a game plan that would match Valentina all right on the feet, if they were in the lab about it. But I thought if she ended up on the floor on the bottom of that crucifix position that Valentina's so good at, that would be curtains. And then my stream comes back, my totally legit legal paid for stream, and Alexa Grasso's back on her feet. And to be honest, I'm still not even sure how she did it, because I haven't rewatched that portion of the fight. But I going back to like what we mentioned with Jon and Cejudo, that footage of them training that exact position that he got Cyril Gane in, Alexa Grasso and her team making the read, scouting out the fact that Valentina throws that spinning back kick all the time, and jumps on the opportunity that presented itself, gets the back, goes for the rear naked choke, doesn't even sink in the rear naked choke, and just says, fuck it, this is my only opportunity. I have to empty the clip here. Squeezes so fucking hard that Valentina Shevchenko's face looks like the flag of Poland. It's literally two different shades. It's white and red. Like the blood is just going to start coming out of her ears if she hadn't tapped. Dude, I got so emotional watching that for Alexa Grasso.
The scream when she fucking let her go, and then she just yelled like that, like primal yell of just like yes, because we talked like with like Jamal, when Jamal Hill did that, when you saw like they gave him you could just tell like my life is different now, and for me it wasn't even that, it was just the like, because the lead up to this fight, the last couple Grasso fights that we've talked about, and what she went through with Invicta, and like kind of like her prodigal status that she had been given kind of before she had really earned it, were not so much that not that she didn't earn it, but just that like she just hadn't showed it yet, kind of deal. When they had talked to her about like, this is my life, like I've missed birthdays, I've missed like family members dying, I've missed family members being born, I've missed like weddings, I've missed like just small little moments because I'm in this dank little gym working hard. And when you heard her yell, it like all came out of her chest. And I've been in situations like that. I know people that have worked super hard and like seen them like succeed, and I've seen people not, like they go their whole life and they work so fucking hard and they fucking deserve it, and they just don't get it. And she got it, and she just yelled, she just let that out. It was like, dude, this is amazing. And like when she was coming home, I saw a video of her coming home, like going through the airport, and just everybody, like the hugs that they gave her, you can always tell. Like, well, not to kind of bring back the Jon thing, but like you saw him hugging his fiance and stuff, that kind of seemed like, okay, left, right, hug. Okay, look at the cameras, wave, be sincere. When she won, and it was like when Yair won too.
Yeah.
It was just, it's so sincere. Like these people, they take it so, and when I say these people, the Mexicans, they take it so seriously, and they work so fucking hard. You know what I'm saying? We know, we grow up with these people, dude. I was joking with a friend of mine, and she was saying like, I look like her. Like people are telling me I look like her, and I'm like, you do. You look a lot like her. So it's like, she looks like the gals that we went to school with, who they're fucking, her family busts their fucking ass to get her whatever it is that she has, so she can play sports or she can do whatever it is that she does. She worked so fucking hard for that, and to see someone that deserves it get it, you don't see it all the time, especially on a national stage. So just, man, that was like, I'm sorry to kind of like take what you said and completely like maybe gush, but that it did feel like it did feel really good to see that. You don't get to see that often, and in these days and times, when you see like it might be something as stupid as cage fighting, because it really is kind of trivial when you just think about like a lot of the stuff people are faced with on a day-to-day basis.
Definitely, yeah.
But to see someone work so hard at what they do, and undoubtedly just take the shot, gamble, and have it pay off against someone who's the greatest that ever did it is insane, dude. So like I really like relish that.
Yeah, the culmination of all the work and sacrifice and everything just kind of like in that moment just coming out of her. And it was in on the grandest stage too, man. It was so much for Valentina. This fight was meant a lot because this was supposed to be her 8th title defense, and she was supposed to get that 8th ruby on her belt. And I kept talking about that, and
Yeah, you did.
and even though I wasn't rooting for Valentina here, directly, I was rooting for some champion to get those 8 rubies, because right now with Valentina falling, we're in a situation where it's kind of weird, where only Alexander Volkanovski and Aljamain Sterling are the only champions who have any defenses at all. Literally every other champion just either just got their title back or just got it for the first time and is about to defend it for the first time soon. So I think that's pretty remarkable. And Alexa Grasso is young too. She's only 29. So, I mean, she's going to, the tough part about being the first person to take Valentina's title is you're going to have to do it twice for sure. And I've already heard a lot of people saying like, no, let's mix it up. Like, let's do something else. And I get that, because I've not been a fan of a lot of the instant rematches that we get. It does get a little bit tiring, but man, if anybody deserves it, Valentina deserves her instant rematch for sure.
So can I get petty right now? I was so, because when she fought Tyla, and it was like, this just can't keep fucking happening. This can't keep happening. And it was. And before the fight, and I think during, where they're like a lot of Joe Rogan is just like, dude, get in the tank, do some DMT, and like think about what you're saying, dude, because like you're losing it, bud.
What did he say? I don't recall what he referred
No, just like the whole thing as a whole.
Oh,
he's just not. I mean, everyone's made this. He's kind of just the rich guy deal now, and it's like, okay, dude, let Lorosenko get in there and just run with it, or that English dude's really good. But he just was saying, I don't know if he said it or DC said it, but like, I think she really wants to dispel that whole stigma of you can't just lay on your opponent and win. And then Joe says, well, you can though, but you can. And she has, and she's going to. And it's like, no. And I was so happy that she lost in this way, because she was trying to do that. She was trying to lay on her, and she was doing the same thing. And a lot of the people that I have reverence for, or we listen to, and we take their opinion seriously, we're saying this is going to be another Shevchenko fight. And it was turning into it. And she got a little bit of fucking pushback from Grasso. So she tried some wicked shit and it didn't fucking work out. But normally she does that. It misses. The other person's a little nervous or taken back and goes, oh, I don't want that to hit, so I'm going to stay back. Alexa goes, no, fuck that. This is it. I'm done with this. This is what I know this shit was going to happen. Watch what happens.
Yeah. No, it was really I don't want to say motivating like it motivates me in any specific way, but I think it was really eye-opening, I should say, the adjustments or the game plan that they had for Grasso, because she still wasn't really like she wasn't being an offensive dynamo. Like the solution to Valentina still has way more tools in her toolbox in terms of offensive striking and her Muay Thai compared to Alexa Grasso's boxing. But one thing that I thought that Alexa Grasso didn't do well enough to be able to compete with Valentina Shevchenko is box defensively. And she leveled up in that regard, because all she had to do was get the fuck out after she made contact and not be there for any of it, not be there for some of the fancier stuff that Valentina can throw. And I thought that worked really well. She was picking her shots nicely and then just getting the heck out and using that footwork. I will say I am glad that neither of us predicted Grasso to win this fight, but I did think that she was going to look better than ever. And I'm glad I was right about that she leveled up, because when there was gold on the line, this girl really stepped up and rounded out her game. And I'm really curious to see what the rematch looks like, because you trust that Valentina Shevchenko is going to watch this and geek out about it and make the adjustments. But I really want to see what Alexa Grasso's team is going to do and how they're going to adjust and pivot and come in and not just expect the same game plan to work, because the same game plan is not going to work. That's for sure. Unless the game plan is potentially to get Valentina to the ground again, because now we've seen, in 2 fights in a row, I mean, one, Taila Santos had her on the ropes, had her back control and was threatening a submission. And now we see Alexa Grasso gets her there, gets the submission. You really can't, you can't overlook the fact that Valentina Shevchenko, like that's her deficit. And I think it's like, it almost kind of makes me want to go back and kind of laugh in some people's faces, because I read comments, when I was over here like standing for Erin Blanchfield, being like, this is the girl that's going to do it. I would see a lot of people saying like, oh, she's going to have to work on her striking if she wants any shot against Valentina. And I want to grab these people by the lapel and be like, Valentina needs to work on her grappling.
If they're classy enough to be wearing a garment with a lapel on it, sir.
Yes, but it goes both ways. She needs to work on her grappling. I understand, the skill gap in the stand-up, but this is mixed martial arts. The martial arts are mixed. Yeah, man. Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko 2. That's going to be happening somewhere else in the landscape of flyweight. Erin Blanchfield will probably go with Manon Fiorot or Taila Santos. Either of those fights will be fine. A lot of exciting stuff going on at the top of the flyweight division. And for now, we'll just sit and hope that they get Alexa Grasso that title fight with Valentina.
Amanda Nunes is the greatest female fighter that ever lived, and I don't think anyone can say, I'm not going to listen to anyone. I'm not going to listen to you. You can stroke your beard.
I was just going to say, that's an interesting way to pronounce Joanna Jędrzejczyk, but
no, you can stroke your beard. I don't know about that accent. And Hall, but Amanda Nunes is the greatest female fighter that's ever walked the planet.
Not with a loss to Juliana Pena, she's not. Not with the loss to Juliana Pena, she is not.
I know.
I would have been like, yep. I mean, you're right, man. But that one just
okay. So if Shevchenko can, because Nunes came back and it didn't even look like they were the same species of human when she fought Pena again. It didn't even look. It looked like a Cocker Spaniel fighting a fucking like Timberwolf, dude.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the same thing. So is this like, if she can do that to Alexa Grasso, because Grasso's, say what you want to say about, there's 4 fighters that we're talking about: Pena, Nunes, Grasso, Shevchenko. Mm-hmm. Grasso definitely deserves to be in that lexicon of names. Mm-hmm. Juliana Pena does not, dude. She does not even close. So
no.
If Shevchenko can come back and like, you can't really call it son, but like dominate and take the title back the way Nunes did, then I will sit here and be like, you completely okay. But it's back on. The debate's back on. Yeah. But if she squeaks out another lay and pray deal, then what do you want? And wins it back that way, you're not going to convince me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You can make that argument, certainly. If Valentina Shevchenko, I mean, what if she doesn't though? I mean, what if Alexa Grasso beats her 2 times in a row? Does Alexa Grasso suddenly start?
Rousey backdoors back into the top 3 somehow? What the fuck?
Wei Li Zhang's just over here like, what the fuck am I? Fucking Kung Pao chicken? I mean,
she's got nice, dude. Yes. Yes, dude. Way to go, dude. What am I, some kind of spy balloon?
I just hope that they take that fight to Mexico, and I hope that happens there.
Dude, we talked about it. If they could get Jones, because they all fought recently. So if you can get Jones Stipe, which is going to be in July, it's going to be in where's it going to be? Right, it's not going to be in
for International Fight Week. It'll be at T-Mobile.
It's in the U.S. Yeah. But if you can get Jones Stipe, and then you can get Volk Yair, and then you can get Moreno and Pantoja, and that would just be like, oh man, it deserves to be in Mexico. But things are a little rough over there right now. I'm not sure if you want to be the safest place on planet Earth.
And I don't want them to do it in Mexico City either at elevation. I don't want none of that.
No, but if you can do it like man, if they could do it like at Cowboy Stadium, imagine, dude, at AT&T. Dang.
No Sabo kids out in full effect.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this. Let's get to this welterweight matchup. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Jeff Neal. Shavkat gets that standing rear naked choke. If you can call it a rear naked choke, it was some schoolyard shit on Jeff Neal after a super hard fought, like almost a full fight. It was right at the very end.
Fucking stupid. Because I was like so confident, like Jeff Neal's gonna win. Shavkat's great. I think Jeff Neal's gonna win. You looked at me like, oh, like okay, no, dude. I fully and I feel good now. I feel vindicated in that pick because
You should.
he fucking looked amazing. Think about it this way: you miss weight by 4 fucking pounds, but Dana still gives you fight of the night bonus. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm still paying you. That was amazing. That was Gilbert Burns Hamzat to the like exactly the same like level, pretty much. Hamzat didn't get the finish right, but I mean, might as well. It was like what minute left or whatever.
Yeah.
But man, Jeff fucking put Hamzat like there was a shot. I was like, yes, dude, yes. He fucking he hit him fucking hard, dude. So I'm gonna give you a chance to fix your egregious error when you're introing this fight. Do you want to go ahead and reintroduce the guys that were in this fight for us, please?
Oh yeah, Shavkat Rakhmonov fought a guy by the name of Jeff Hands of Steel
Yes,
Neal.
that's correct. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
I gotta give some props to Mike, who I was watching the fight with, because he called out something right away that he picked up on early in the fight, was that Shavkat doesn't move his head. And once he said that, I was watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, he didn't move his head there. Yeah, still continuing to not move his head. Oh well, good call, Mike, because he doesn't move his head at all. And that's definitely something that he needs to work on. Is just his boxing in general. Because I mean, when it comes to chucking him, his offensive boxing, he was still doing really well and had Jeff Hands of Steel Neal. Dancing, and they both had their moments and landed big shots. But man, Jeff Neal, the hands were, he was finding a home for some of those heavy right hands. And at some points it almost looked like he was going to get a score finishing sequence on Shavkat. It was really remarkable to see. But Shavkat, what do they say? What's that saying? He's got that dog in him. Because he was just game for all of it, man. He never hindered. I mean, he was clearly rocked at least by one exchange, but he was always ready to dive right back into the pocket and throw back. I mean,
for all the amazing things that and all the praise that we give him for all the different his spinning kicks, his stoicism, the strength that he has.
The fact that his favorite animal is the horse, and his favorite food is also horse. But
that they're still mopping up Lorisenko's corner of the after he was there. I think so let's talk about like just different techniques throughout the UFC. Like who had I guess you could say like who has. I guess right now you can say like maybe, and that he is back, but like Henry Cejudo's wrestling.
Are we gonna build a El Indestructo?
No, just like techniques. So you got, I would say like Jack Della Magdalena's boxing is pretty fucking sick. Like just to watch, like put into practice. You have, well, I guess you give Islam the nod in wrestling right now.
Sure.
You've got like who's the better like strike like maybe like a Edson Barbosa, but I guess at one point his Muay Thai, his leg kicks.
I'll take Yair Rodriguez's kicks right now.
Kicks, right?
Yeah, I'll take his kicks.
Shavkat's, I guess getting around about his knees. A lot of people don't. He throws the knee perfectly, absolutely perfectly. His base leg, his plant leg is down. He goes through, he gets down, he shoots through with his hips, he explodes, he pulls in with the clinch, he works that into the clinch perfectly, because you see a lot of knees and guys kind of like jump. They'll jump or they do it from an awkward angle. His knees are so beautiful, dude, to watch. That's the one thing that I saw where I did see he does not move his head. You and I both kind of made that comment, like, dude, like whatever drill that is where they fucking put a clothesline across the fucking cage and you have to like move back and forth and like just do that.
Let's put clotheslines fucking everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, please. Because but his knees, man, are amazing. He threw some and I don't know how I don't think that choke done it by itself would have been that bad, but all the knees that he took to the body, I guarantee you Hands of Steel's fucking like sternum and his like solar plexus just couldn't take the air, not being able to get it. I guarantee he wasn't getting very much air.
Good point.
By that point.
Because it was just like, I mean, it was standing for one, and he just kind of like puts a leg in front of him, like that's doing anything, you know, when in reality, like that could have led to, I think, you're right. I think of the accumulation of damage without it, that probably wouldn't have been a death sentence of a choke for a lot of other fighters. But those knees, plus coupled with his height and you know, giving him the ability to really blast it up and put a lot of torque in it, they certainly did a lot of damage.
And the way he walked away from it, he was like, "Fuck!" Like, God damn, that was like one of the more savage things, because he was just like, "Shit, man, God damn, what do I got to do, man?"
Somebody served me some fucking horse.
Yeah.
Shavkat Rakhmonov, at least in the Tapology rankings, climbs to number 5 at welterweight. The only guys ahead of him at right now are Gilbert Durinho Burns, who is booked to fight George Masvidal on April 8th. At number 3, they have Bilal Muhammad. And above that, Kamaru Usman is going to be rematching Leon Rocky Edwards for their trilogy later this month, actually, in March 18th. So not too far away. What do you see? To me, if you ask me, it looks like it's pretty obvious they're going to put Bilal up in there with Shavkat. And I've been riding hard for Bilal. I've been riding hard for Bilal for a while now, so I don't know if I keep on with that train, man.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it. No one's going to want to take a fight with Shavkat. Better buckle in for what's going to be a long fucking wait, because no one's going to want to take that fight.
Dana said that and I mean, he's kind of hinted at making some of these fights happen before, but he said that a Shavkat versus Covington fight would be fun. That's his exact quote, that's a fun fight. I don't know what the chances are that actually happens, because we were really, really hoping for Khamzat versus Covington, and that didn't come to fruition. So I think this would be that, you know, no, we have Chimaev versus Covington at home, Mom. Like,
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think they'll do it, but like they won't put Della Magdalena against Shavkat. I think Della Magdalena fights Jeff Neal. That's the one I would love to see.
That lines up pretty nicely on Tapology. JDM is at number 15, and Jeff Neal dropped to number 8 with that loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I don't know where Jeff Neal was positioned before that. I would be curious to see where he was ranked before that fight, because I almost feel like he shouldn't fall too far. Wherever Shavkat Rakhmonov ended up on in the rankings, I kind of feel like Jeff Neal should be like right under him.
Yeah. He did amazing. I can't say enough. And I feel great about my pick, and I didn't when I saw he missed by 4, but it makes sense now, because he's like, why am I going to kill my body before? Why am I going to lose 2 fights? I might as well give myself a chance at maintaining my energy and like not really killing my body before I get in the ring. So, or in the octagon. So it made sense why he missed. I think it was a strategic thing. I don't think it was oh fuck.
Mm-hmm. Lightweight action kicked off the main card. Oh, technically not. I think Bo Nickel actually kicked off the main card. He started off the main card with a shot to the dick. Yeah. But we're going to talk about that in a bit. First, we're going to talk about Mateusz Gamrot versus Jalen Turner. Lightweight action going down. It comes out to a split decision. Very, very close fight. Very action-packed fight. Not at all the fight that I was actually expecting. I really thought Mateusz Gamrot came out and showed a lot of improvement in his boxing and was finding a home for his right hand on Jalen Turner, who towers over him. I thought that this was going to be a pretty typical Mateusz Gamrot fight where he was going to be shooting for that low single all night and just working to chain wrestle and scramble. And please tell your AI assistant to shut the fuck up. Was that Alexa talking?
Yeah, like you said something, and then I hit the I went to close the screen. No, close.
Siri.
something we said tripped that off. Did you hear that? He's like, I don't understand that.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Something we said tripped it off.
Fucking feds. What was I saying? But Jalen Turner had a lot of success in the stand-up too. Caught Mateusz Gamrot a few times. I've seen quite a few people who think that Jalen Turner should have won that fight. I want to ask you how you scored it. You had it for
Jalen Turner's one of my favorite fighters, and as of right now, I guess one of my favorite prospects. You and I both have had nothing but good things to say about him. Mm-hmm. And I continue to, and he did a really good job getting out of some of those exchanges, like using his length, his arms to climb to the wall and climb, or kind of drag himself up against the cage and then climb up. He got out of some pretty sticky situations. He stayed in some, and he timed some punches really good. You can definitely tell it was a short notice fight, and Gamrot just this is what I got to do to win. And
that's something I kept forgetting about in the context of the fight until I was kind of reminded afterwards. I literally removed it from my mind that it was supposed to be Turner versus Dan Hooker, and now I almost kind of feel for Turner because he probably would have been able to show out in a big way against Dan Hooker.
Turner, or Hooker, sorry, Turner. Why did I say that? He would have murdered Dan Hooker. For sure.
So props to Gamrot for getting in there on pretty much just over a week's notice, climbing back up to number 6 in the Topology rankings, and his record climbing back up to 22-2. So a guy who's kind of showing himself the ability to stick around in that top 10. I don't think Gamrot's going anywhere till he starts to slip physically. Or till that chin goes, because he's not unhittable, that's for sure. But he just has such a good wrestling game and such a good transitionary scramble that he's able to, even in scenarios where you might rock him, if you don't put him out with a flash KO, he's diving for those legs, and you have to be ready to put the finishing touches on him.
He definitely chain wrestles as good as anybody in the entire UFC. He just completely, he'll knee hook, he'll get a single leg, double leg, he'll do it for any way possible. He won't stop. So he's like a Wolverine.
Yeah, and even in fights where you don't really get the sense that he's the better wrestler, where you kind of feel like the other guy maybe is getting the better of him in the wrestling, I don't think I've seen anybody nobody's been able to hold him down in the UFC.
Right, good point.
Saryukin, I think you could argue, he beat him in the fight, and he beat him in the wrestling exchanges, but I can't harken back to any time in that fight where I'm picturing that was when Saryukin had all that ground control.
It was the kind of scrambles where Gamrot had, even though Saryukin had so many fights and high level fights, Gamrot had just had it's just so much of a wealth of knowledge. He just kind of got him in those crafty vet. If you can say he did win or where he did win, it was those crafty vet kind of score. He outpointed him in certain positions where, frustrating,
Yeah. So fights ahead of Gamrot in the lightweight division, fighters who aren't booked. He's gonna probably have to wait and kind of see how things play out for a bit, because it looks like the only people in the top 7 or top 8, top 10. I mean, we know Michael Chandler is going to fight. He's going to fight Conor McGregor. Dustin Poirier isn't booked to fight anybody but their teammates, so him and Gamrot won't be fighting. Fiziev will be going with Gaethje, Dariush Oliveira. He's going to have to kind of wait till some of these fights play out and see how they go, because I don't think anybody's ready to see him rematch with Arman Saryukian yet. As great as that fight would be, that really would be fucked up.
There's a guy on the other side of the Zoom call that wants to see that again, dude.
Okay, well, I stand corrected then. I would be very interested in seeing. I think I would be interested in seeing him fight the loser or possibly the winner. Either I say the loser because I think that's far
The
more likely.
Gaethje.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think you could put him in there with a winner of that fight, but I have a feeling that the UFC would probably match him up with the loser because either way,
I
it's a
have a
new
feeling
fight.
Fiziev just kicks the living shit out of this guy. Just kicks the living shit out of Gamrot. He beats Gaethje all any way you want, but I think Fiziev just fucking styles on Mateusz Gamrot.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I think that's possible. Yeah, I think Fiziev's stand up is that good, and I think Gamrot hasn't really ran into that level of striking in the UFC yet. So yeah, that's going to be a really entertaining test for him, and I hope that's the one that happens. Actually, now that you mention it, Gaethje with a win over Gaethje, Fiziev can certainly demand a lot, but if Dariush or I think the winner of Oliveira and Dariush is probably going to be in line for a title shot. And now, like we mentioned in our previous episode, Volkanovski isn't. He's going hard for that rematch, and he wants to go with Islam again. And it sounds like the UFC's on board. So I don't know. What's the point of speculating? Could be a long wait for all of these guys. I hope it goes fast.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a long one.
All right. So Bo Nickel makes his long-awaited debut in the UFC against Jamie Pickett, debuting on the first fight on a main card, a pay-per-view card. So must-see TV at 185 pounds. Gets it done at 2 minutes and 54 seconds of the first round with an arm triangle choke. You and I talked at length about the fact that there was a very obvious nut shot in there in the clinch. We both know that wasn't going to make a difference in the fight. Referee, what are you doing, though? Do your job. So sucks for Jamie Pickett that if he was going to have any kind of a better performance, that was all squashed right off the bat because, yeah, he was pushed right up against the cage, 8-1 to the nads, and then got thrown to the ground. And Bo Nickel kind of took his time getting that arm triangle choke in there, but it was all one-way traffic. Jamie Pickett falling to with a record of 13-9 now. And now, on a 4-fight losing streak, I believe. Let me take a look. 3-fight losing streak. So, yeah, tough road for Jamie Pickett. Probably going to get served his walking papers soon. It was pretty obvious, what job he was here to do. Tell me what you thought about how Bo Nickel looked, how he handled himself in his first official UFC win, his call-outs. Do you think that kind of like what Joe Rogan was saying right after he got this win? Because Joe Rogan went straight for it and said, I see no reason why we don't just drop this guy into the deep end of the division. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. He looked a little skittish. He looked a little rushed. You could tell by the way he threw that kick and fell. That could have been real bad, dude. Thank God he's still young and real spry because he got up real quick and gathered himself. A lot of guys don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But he looked a little nervous. He looked I guess to start. Once he got his hands on Pickett, he knew what to do with it, obviously. But I think the way that he's kind of saving facing, no, that wasn't a nut shot. That wasn't. I think that kind of says a lot about it too. Is he just won't admit, it happened already. They're not going to take the win back, dude.
No one's going to do that.
just say yeah, I didn't. I was going for the inside hip, and I don't think I did. I wasn't trying to, but I can see where people could say I did.
Yeah.
Say it like that. Don't say nope, absolutely not. It wasn't. He was acting or whatever he was saying.
He's saying I'm not a cheater, and it's no one's really calling.
No one's saying that.
But,
so you can tell by his defensiveness in that he was a little.
Yeah.
He was a little I'm not to say that it was too big for him, but just a little nervous. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And good because nerves are good. It's better that he was nervous than not. You know what I mean? If he was, it means he gives a fuck about what he's doing and he wanted to look good.
Yeah.
So, and he did. So, and a lot of people are well, he didn't even do the choke right, or he didn't even do this right, or whatever. I mean, you had Ben Askren. What did he do to? He did a bulldog choke on
Robbie Lawler,
and that guy's been doing MMA a lot longer than Bo Nickel, and he got it. It was just not the best, most aesthetically pleasing looking choke, but he's just so fucking strong that he got it. Well, that's what Bo Nickel did, and he got it done. So I definitely don't think he should just be thrown into the deep waters of the division or the UFC, but I do think that you don't have to give him another 13-9 guy on a 4-fight skid, though.
Yes. Yeah, there's guys further down in this division who will give him some interesting fights where it doesn't need to be a complete squash match. But
what do they say? Like, he has like the new Dana White privilege, so for sure he's gonna have that like that Michael Chandler. I think he has that can do no wrong kind of deal.
he's so green behind the ears, and it's kind of funny because I say that, and because it feels like they do kind of want to push him towards being a certain type of a personality. They want to give him every opportunity to be a bit polarizing, it seems like. And he doesn't really strike me as the type that wants to do that. But I don't think that, but he does seem like he's schooled up on how to speak to media and stuff like that and promote himself. And he's getting out there and he's on Ariel and on the biggest like MMA media interview shows and stuff too. So I think he's going to do it. He just kind of needs to find his way and figure out how he promotes himself and what his personal brand is, because yeah, it seems like the UFC is just kind of like, we'll give you the platform and we hope that you come out and start saying Colby Covington things, because like we were joking about, like, he could be the face of white excellence moving forward and having Dana White privilege, but he needs to figure out how to wield that privilege still. But yeah, I was thinking as far as middleweight goes,
are there any he needs to go and not just 2, I think he needs to adopt 3 black children.
3 it'd be unquestionable. Yeah. Now he needs to sit down with Michael Chandler and walk him through it. This I after the news, we haven't really talked about, or have we talked about Darren Till getting his release?
Oh, I just didn't care. I
didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't really care that much either. But now I'm kind of upset because I feel like Darren Till didn't go to the glue factory like he should have. He was due a trip to the glue factory every other fighter.
He knew. He's very smart. He's a good marketer. He knows what they're gonna do. And then he's probably figuring, I'm gonna take a bunch of steroids. I'm gonna fix my knee.
And have a couple bare knuckle fights or something. And
who knows? But he's definitely gonna be on a lot of steroids, dude. Like all of the steroids. And then they're gonna give him this like fight back, like Gastelum, if Gastelum's still around or whatever. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna give him one of those. He's smart,
like Jun Young Park or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was gonna say, if they wanted to fast track Bo Nickel, and if Bo Nickel wanted to also fast track himself and said, yes, fucking get me in there, to get him the name recognition. I'm not saying this is any kind of an actual challenge for him, but Darren Till would have been the guy who you send to the glue factory to get people familiar with a guy like Bo Nickel for sure. But yeah, Darren Till asks for his release, not to immediately change from the Bo Nickel fight, but yeah, he was asked for his release from the UFC and was granted his release. And in an interview, he said that he's been apparently had a torn, I forgot which ligament in his knee. There was an ACL or an MCL, but he's had a completely torn MCL in his knee for his past few fights and hasn't been able to grapple. But he took Dricus du Plessis down in their fight. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but I think you kind of nailed it on the head. Looking for his opportunity to go out and get out of the USADA testing pool, do what he needs to do, get the surgery, take the roids, heal up. But he insists that he can do stand-up just fine, even with his torn ligament. So he kind of made it sound like he was going to pepper in some boxing matches in there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I think Bo Nickel, like a Muslim Salikov or like a Rude Boy Randy Brown, he'd be fine.
I would even like to see him tested against somebody else who's considered like a high-level grappler, like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player,
Sean
like
Brady
or a Rodolfo Vieira or someone like that. I mean, Rodolfo's coming off of a loss. I'm looking at it right now. He lost to Chris Curtis and lost to Anthony Hernandez in that really crazy upset where Anthony Hernandez got the submission on him. there's a lot of options there. They can't really go wrong with him so far moving forward. But let's see what else on this card are we going to talk about. I don't have a ton to say about the Cody Garbrandt Trevin Jones fight, but
no, we kind of said we started it off. I think we touched on it enough.
We did.
Like, we got a juicy cocksucker motherfucker of a card coming up, dude. I've been getting fucking excited these last 2 days for this shit.
Okay, so you want to transition over to fight night?
I mean, I'm down to do whatever you want, papas. But I mean, we got Merab and Petr Yan this weekend, dude. I'm fucking like, oh man, this is fucking.
Like when you call me papas.
I know you don't like papas.
Yan versus Dvalishvili. This is Russia versus Georgia, man. This should be, on paper, this should be a very heated main event. Petr Yan, 16-4, coming off of his split decision loss to Sugar Sean O'Malley, will lock horns with Merab Dvalishvili, who's coming off of his I think it was a unanimous decision win over Jose Aldo, a fight that certainly lost him a lot of fans there, but he has a good opportunity here against Petr Yan in the title mix of this bantamweight division to make a name for himself and kind of go and redeem himself for that performance in a fight that's sure to be. Should I call it fireworks? I don't know. I think I never jumped off the Merab Dvalishvili chain. I was upset with the way that Jose Aldo fight went, but I don't think that was really Merab's fault. And I think where I'm at here to kind of get into my breakdown immediately. I don't know if Merab. I don't know if I'm still overrating Jose Aldo's wrestling defense and wondering how that's going to translate into this fight, and if Merab can take Petr Yan down, or how this fight is going to look. I don't have a really confident pick on this one. I feel like it's kind of a pick 'em. I think it can really go either way.
No, I think you're going to see a lot of Petr Yan elbows. Mm-hmm. Merab is going to get elbowed like he's never been elbowed ever. Uh-huh. It's going to be a lot of, because for all the great things that he does, he pushes pace. He gets way too comfortable in the pocket, and he's fighting one of the best pocket fighters on the planet right now. I think Faziev and Petr Yan they're training partners, so they kind of like knows what to do when the guy's like in his face. And Merab's going to want to get in his face, because what Merab does is he gets in your face and he doesn't get out of your face. Right. He's just always on you. Well, this guy likes that. The guy he's fighting really likes that, and he wants you to do that.
So. He wants to be in the clinch.
Yeah.
And I don't have, like I was kind of getting at, I don't have full faith that Merab is going to be able to take Petr Yan down. But when he does, I think Petr Yan is more in his world. Not to say that Petr Yan is a fish out of water on the ground either. He's plenty capable there, and I mean we saw him beat Aldo there. But I think that Merab Dvalishvili, I just can't discount the amount of time and work that he's putting in with the champ Aljamain Sterling, and how that must be growing in his game and strengthening his top game and his ground control. And I think that we're gonna see the culmination of that work here. Both of these guys very similar records. Merab 15-4, Petr Yan 16-4. A lot of similar opponents in this bantamweight division too. It's kind of amazing that we haven't seen them cross paths before, but I think a lot of that was kind of due to the fact that Merab is kind of forced to kind of play this defender to the throne for Aljamain Sterling. How likely do you think it is that this kind of turns into an unofficial interim championship fight, given the fact that Aljamain he's gonna be going with Henry Cejudo, and then he's going up after that, or at least that's what Aljamain's telling everybody.
It really is. I think it is. It's a preview of who's going to be. Because I mean, if Cejudo wins, how long is he really going to stay around?
Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think you nailed it. You nailed it with basically the unannounced interim title fight is this weekend. So
yeah. Petr Yan, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He has the loss to Sean O'Malley, Aljamain Sterling, and then 2 losses to Aljamain Sterling.
He beat Sean O'Malley. He lost to to fair and square loss to Sterling.
Sure.
The knee, okay, that's a loss. But he beat Sean O'Malley.
Sure he did. Sure he did.
Sure he did, Mr. Hummer.
No, I scored that fight for Petr Yan as I was watching it also, but I've pretty much just accepted that. Let's see, very similar in age also. Petr Yan, 30 years old, 32 years for Merab Dvalishvili. And Merab, the slight underdog at plus 190. I don't ask you all the time about your betting. I'm not sure if you're still betting or how often you do it, but Petr Yan, minus 245. You kind of called this one for Petr Yan, but by all means, let me know when you ever want to see any of these betting odds, or if you see any value anywhere for this card.
I had been, something happened with the website that I used with my bookie, because I was able to, I don't know if I'm like exposing myself, but I was able to like launder things through a crypto wallet, because California, you can't bet online. So I was like laundering money through a crypto wallet, and
call it laundering, dog.
Yeah. I was Skylar Whiting it through a crypto wallet type exchange that they have. And the last few times that I've tried to pull cash out, they haven't let me.
Oof.
And so, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. That's the only reason why. And I know a few people that will take action. They have like a website that you can kind of go on and bet, and then you just meet the guy at like Wendy's or whatever. But I don't want to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I don't have a whole lot of faith that when you win the big one that guy's going to show up to Wendy's.
Yeah, but I've got like a bunch of fucking, I don't even know. I think it's Ethereum. And like they'll let me play blackjack as much as I want, but they just won't give it to me.
That's fine.
And then it keeps telling me something about California, blah, blah, this, and that. And I've used it. I've used the same VPN. It's called like Surfshark, and then I switched to like this other one. And so if anybody's listening, comment down below. How do I launder my money through a legal gambling site to California?
Let's get into this co-main event. I hope somebody is able to help you with that, though.
I need that $83, dude.
It was Slav to Slav at the top of the card. Alexander Volkov versus Alexander Romanov. This one
I'm
is
excited about this one, big dog.
Russia versus Moldova. You mentioned him earlier when we were talking about the heavyweight division. Alexander King Kong Romanov, the cocaine bear, the Moldovan bear, at 32 years old with a record of 16-1, is fighting a guy with more than double the experience. Alexander Volkov, Drago, coming in at a plus 110, near even, but slight underdog, with a record of 35-10, and he is 3-2 in his last 3 fights, with his losses coming to Tommy Aspinall and Cyril Gane, 2 of the brighter prospects in the heavyweight division, although we already kind of said that we are well off the Cyril Gane train with his recent performance. But he's got wins over Jarginho Rosenstruck, Marcin Tybura, and Alistair Overeem, all recognizable names. Meanwhile, Alexander Romanov, coming off of that loss, the surprising loss, majority decision loss to Marcin Tybura. And prior to that, he's got his wins over Chase Sherman, Jared Vandera, Juan Espino, and Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Big boys in this co-main event. The UFC loves giving us heavyweights in main cards, especially for fight nights. This isn't any different. 256 pounds versus 293 pounds. 239 pounds. Kind of surprised to see that Alexander Romanov is the smaller guy in terms of weight here. But yeah, how do you see this fight playing out? Do you think that the towering height and reach advantage, 6'7" versus Romanov's 6'2", do you think that's going to play a factor in the striking, or do you think Romanov gets this one straight to the ground?
I think his last time we saw him was in Denver. Like, he was obviously gassed to fuck, working out in a fucking parking lot. Mm-hmm. I think he's really going to take this serious, and I think he got the right guy to do it against. He's going to throw this man around. I'm going to, whoever's sitting next to me in this fight, I'm going to tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, watch this, check this shit out. The guy's going to get fucking thrown from edge to edge. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. This guy is going. The cocaine bear is going to be upset, dude. He is fucking mad. He looks stupid in that fight. He was like doing these weird, like trying to hug and like glove tapping and all this weird shit in this last fight. That's not gonna happen this time, dude. It's not gonna happen. I guarantee it. If I do bet, and someone will bet, I'll hawk my golf clubs to and bet on this guy, dude.
I think you are spot on. I think you made the appropriate read there in remembering that that loss to Marcin Tybura came at elevation at that fight on Colorado, that card in Colorado, which was also the last fight that Merab fought on. So both returning. These guys are clearly on the same schedule. And yeah, much closer to sea level. I think that we get a much different Alexander Romanov, who's not going to get too tired to work his exact game plan. That didn't work out for him there. Marcin Tybura was able to kind of like outpace him. I don't see Alexander Volkov, even if he tries to kind of recreate that exact strategy, which might make this fight look a bit better for him. I still think that he's going to succumb to the wrestling and top game of Alexander Romanov. So I'm with you there. I think both of us smashing the over on Alexander Romanov. I shouldn't even say smashing the over. That means, are you going to make a prediction as to the method? Do you think it's going to go to decision? Because
a 3-round decision.
3-round. Okay, yeah. I also agree.
3-0, like wash, just a wash.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're in full agreement there. Now we are back to what should have been a fight night main event just a few weeks ago. 2 weeks ago tops. Nikita Krylov, Ryan Spann getting back on this card, and this is a fucking catchweight fight. That can't be right. Apparently, these boys are going to be scrapping at 215 pounds. I guess because they had already cut weight. That fight was canceled on the day of, so they're not going to make them do a second weight cut so quick. So I think that's actually a good idea. These boys are going to be fighting at heavyweight technically. Nikita Krylov, Ryan Spann. I don't think anything about what I predicted in that fight previously changes. If you want to hear my prediction for this fight,
I take Nikita.
Yeah, you're going to have to go back and watch that one. I got Nikita here also. I think that, interestingly enough, I don't know if we should factor in the fact that he was sick, but I figure if there's anything having to do with that's still giving him any issues, he probably wouldn't be in this fight and turning around so quickly. So I think that, I think he's going to put the pace on Ryan Spann. He's going to touch him up. I don't think he gets the finish. I do think it's going to be, I don't remember if I predicted that there would be a finish in this fight or if he would go to decision, but I would favor Nikita Krylov by decision.
Same. Exact same.
All right. The only other fight on here, because we are Victor at about an hour and 30 minutes. Yeah, I will say.
Excited about Victor Henry.
Don't miss
Nurmagomedovs.
I would say I'm excited about the Said Nurmagomedov versus Jonathan Martinez fight.
Yes, Jonathan Martinez was really like jerking at the heartstrings the last time we watched him, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he got that KO finish of Cub Swanson about 4 months ago.
And then he just had a baby, right, or something like that.
Yeah, and
he just found out. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked really good there. The record of 17-4 versus Said Nurmagomedov 17-2. This is going to be a big step up in competition for him here. But I think if he can keep it on the feet, if he could scramble well, if he could negate the ground game. And that's not to say that Said Nurmagomedov isn't a complete fighter. He's a guy who can go with you on the feet too. He's much more well-rounded than his last name would have people believe. But Jonathan Martinez, I was really, really excited with his calf kicks and his leg kicks in that last fight. So I would be stoked to see him come in and do it again, especially with what he was able to do against Cub Swanson, finishing Cub by leg kicks. Just super impressive.
That was fucking brutal.
Yeah.
That was fucking ouchie.
Yeah. Super over on that guy, just dead in the eyes, no personality, but in all the right ways, just super cold, fucking scary. Yeah. That's one to not miss there. I would probably still gonna pick Said, but really rooting hard for Jonathan Martinez in this fight. I'd like to see this kid become a factor in the bantamweight division. And then, like you mentioned, some of those fights to not miss. Victor Henry back in action against Tony Gravely. WMMA action going on between JJ Aldrich and Ariane Lipski. So tune in if you want to see Ariane Lipski fight with the worst strategy ever. I think JJ Aldrich is probably going to piece her up in that fight because Ariane Lipski is really, really low IQ. I don't want to bash on her, but by God, what are you doing? Rafaela Sunsao back against Davy Grant. Yeah, I think that pretty much concludes our roundup, unless you have anything you want to touch on for this card.
No, they said to watch out for the Cedric Dumas guy or whatever the fuck they said, that he's pretty fucking pretty exciting to watch, but I've only heard that. I haven't seen that. So
let me pull up his record. His Tapology picture is interesting. It's one of those. It's got a black and white picture. 7-0. Let's see who he's got. Nobody who we would recognize, or at least nobody I recognize, but the guy has an extensive amateur record. He went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-1 as an amateur. So you add that to his professional record, and which he is 7-0. So yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't really that a lot of people kind of sleep on, is how many guys have put in a lot of work as an amateur fighter. And really the only difference, to my understanding in the regional scene, the only thing that keeps you from becoming a pro fighter is literally just getting paid. So this man is actually 16-1. He just didn't get paid at all for his first 10 fights, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, but
and he's a Florida boy. Like, those guys get wild with it. So he's exciting to see.
Training at a Port City Combat Sports. So cool. I'll be watching the Reaper, and I'll be back ready to talk about it on the next episode of The Fight Plug. Thanks for joining me again, Brandon.
Like, comment, subscribe, Josh. Hopefully you can listen to this in your Ford Fiesta instead of your mom's trailer.
Fuck you, Josh. Just kidding, man. Thanks for listening, bro. Take care.